Well, Philip Ingram, MBE, former senior military intelligence officer, is here now because we're hearing that Russia is readying troops for a long war with Ukraine as 50,000 troops are massing on the border. We've seen as well some evidence that Russia has been sort of upping their attacks on various cities in Ukraine as well. Philip, very good morning to you.
Good morning, Mike.
Last time I was here, it seemed as though there was still some hope that there might be peace talks sort of, surmising themselves somewhere in Turkey. There were people talking to each other, but that all seems to have drifted away into the mists of time now, doesn't it?
It does. I think the reality is of what Vladimir Putin is doing is coming to Donald Trump very clearly. We had Donald Trump, at the beginning of the week turn around and call Vladimir Putin crazy. Yeah. Trump's Prime Minister and our former Prime Minister and now in his Security Council, Medvedev, turned around and threatened World War III. And then we've just had the US general who's liaison to Zelensky in Kyiv last night turn around and say what Medvedev is doing is irresponsible. I think the blinkers are coming off and Donald Trump is getting a real view that Putin has never wanted peace.
Yes. And I mean, as far as the damage that could be, now sort of laid bare on Ukraine, if this is to be a long war and it is to be 50,000 more troops sort of pumped into the system, I mean, what's the latest situation with the Ukrainian troops? Have they got enough troops to fight back?
Ukrainians have. No side's ever going to have enough troops, and I think the build-up that we're hearing of 50,000 Russians to attack in from the north, I think is probably more bluff than bluster, because if the Russians had 50,000 troops, they'd put them in the east and try and advance much more quickly. We're now getting these attacks between different cities. The Ukrainians launched a massive drone attack on Russia last night, hitting a number of their military factories, including ones that are manufacturing drones. The Russians are firing tens of drones and soon to be hundreds of drones into Ukraine overnight, and there's predictions that it'll soon get to 1,000 drones a night that Russia can fire in. The war is escalating; it's not diffusing, and the potential for the ceasefire and peace negotiations have been a distraction from that. Putin is making his position very clear indeed.
Yeah, he really is. And so, has the kind of peace plan just fallen by the wayside? Is that the end of it?
I don't think it's the end of it. Both sides are still talking-ish. We're waiting for what Donald Trump's going to say next on Truth Social as to what the next line is. We heard a couple of days ago the new German Chancellor Merz turn around and say that the range restrictions and the use restrictions on Western weapons have been removed completely. So that's the UK-French Storm Shadow Scalp missile, the German Taurus missile, which we don't know if it's been provided yet, and the US ATACMS missiles. We will know if that is true whenever we first see them being used inside Russian territory.
Yeah, absolutely extraordinary stuff, but we'll keep an eye on it all. Philip, good to talk to you. Thanks very much indeed. Philip Ingram, MBE, former senior military intelligence officer there with the latest on Ukraine, which is not particularly encouraging for those people who think peace is coming anytime soon.